Welcome to Contributor Wednesday on Bridge the Gap Network. In this series, you'll hear from thought leaders on a variety of topics dedicated to inform, educate, and influence the senior living industry.
Welcome to Contributor Wednesday on the Bridge the Gap Network. Josh and Lucas here of Bridge the Gap, the senior living podcast. We want to talk to you, our listeners, about the next round of contributors. Josh, you know what? These are big hitters in our industry. These are VIPs. We have gone out, we have shaken the trees, we have vetted, we have gone through interview processes. There is a strict, rigorous protocol that these people undergo from you, me, and Sarah. And we have found some really, really good ones that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and to summarize that, basically we begged and they said yes. And so we couldn't be more excited that the folks are joining us and going to deliver some great content over the next 6 months. So we're going to tell you a little bit about that today.
Yes, candidly, I don't think I've ever been more excited about the contributor series because I've been listening more to our program than I ever have been for obvious reasons. You know, we've got new people and new ideas and new topics. There's, just a variety of things, a wide range, and our listeners have spoken because they're being downloaded left and right.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you are just now tuning in to Contributor Wednesday, not sure what we're talking about, you can actually go back and listen to, this is going to be actually our second season of Contributor Wednesday. And gosh, what great content. So can't wait to tell you about our newest episode heroes that are going to be contributing, touching on a variety of industry topics, and can't wait for you to hear.
So in week one, we have the one and only, none other than a good friend of ours, longtime listener, David Hopkins. He is going to be talking about leadership lessons for community administrators. David has been an executive director for many years. He has worked in different communities in Florida, currently at one for LCS, and just doing a great job there. David has been a listener since day one.
Yeah, absolutely. Also been a great friend of both of ours. And the cool thing about Contributor Wednesday is it's a little bit different format. So if you've been used to listening to the Josh and Lucas every Monday show, this will take on just its own identity because each one of these contributors that we'll be sharing with you brings their own thoughts. They're on the show actually by themselves, so you get to hear from them. And so every Wednesday you'll hear great thought leadership, and David Hopkins is going to kick it off with week one.
You got it. So let's move on to week number 2, contributor Cara Silletto. She's going to be talking about workforce retention and culture. Many of our listeners know Cara. She's been on our program a couple of times. But outside of that, Cara is a big influencer in training and development for the senior living industry. She's an author, she's a speaker, she's a mother, and a really great friend and a great influencer in our industry.
So Cara, as you said, Lucas has been on our show a couple of times. Also a little known fact to connect to one of our other contributors. I think David Hopkins actually won Cara Silletto's book giveaway in our very first episode, probably in season 1. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So that kind of ties us all together. But also, you can go back and listen if you want just a snapshot before Cara's Contributor Wednesday comes out. I think it was episode 140. You can look that up on iTunes, and you can go back and hear Cara at least on that latest episode.
Absolutely. And Cara does good on social. She's got a great newsletter, a lot of great content out there. We're excited that she's going to be bringing some of those thought leadership principles, ideas, and trainings to help educate, inform, and influence people on the Bridge Gap Network. So that's week number 2. Week number 3, we're going to have Jerald Cosey. He's going to be talking about inspire and empower, which is perfectly suited for Jerald. We had Jerald on the show back on episode 131, and we were blown away.
Absolutely. So Jerald might take us to church. The boy can preach, and he is naturally very inspiring, talking about somebody that really talks from the heart. So I'm actually really looking forward. We are actually trying to pull out of Jerald, take us on a journey of where are you going to go over the next 6 months, 6 weeks. Just give us kind of a forecast. He wouldn't do it. He's like, you know what? I'm going to be living in such the moment. I'm going to be talking from my heart. He's like, you can't plan that out too much. And so I can't wait to hear what he talks about. It's always great, going to be great content. So you want to tune into that. Just so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jerald has been hitting the speaker network in the industry as well. He's a big up and comer, and I say big up and comer, he's already arrived in our minds. He's been at this for a very long time. And I feel like he's just finally getting to the point where a lot of this stuff, he's starting to kind of break and get out there. And for obvious reasons, he's incredible.
Well, and what our listeners need to understand is these contributors aren't getting paid. They are working long day jobs. So you mentioned Jerald Cosey. So Jerald is an administrator in a community, a healthcare hero on the front lines, but then his night job, as he calls it, is trying to empower and inspire people to be their best selves.
Yeah.
And so he's doing speaking engagements, he's doing podcasts with us, and now he's creating content for you, the listener. So talk about dedicated people to our industry. That sums up our contributors. So you can actually go back and listen to Jerald Cosey episode 131 to get a snapshot of that if you're wanting to know what's coming.
Rounding out on week 4, we're going to have Christy Cunningham. She's going to be talking about sales and marketing. And we have had a number rounds of conversations with Christy, and we could not be more impressed with this actually young lady. She is fantastic. We connected to her through our mutual friend, James Lee, contributor in season 1. He said, I was having a conversation with him, said, look, we're looking for some very specific people to come on board. And he said, you've got to talk to Christy, and we did.
Well, first of all, I couldn't believe that I had never met Christy before. So thankful that James introduced us, and I am so excited for our listeners to get to know her more. Many of our listeners probably know her because she has filled some big positions at a very young age in our industry, and now I believe founder of Gusto Consulting. So make sure you look her up, look for her episodes. She's got cutting edge content, kind of changes the way we frame a lot of our conversations, ask a lot of great questions, and causes us to rethink some of our traditional ways that we've been doing marketing and sales. So I can't wait for her to challenge the status quo.
This is so awesome and so exciting because, this is stuff that people would go to trainings and spend a ton of money on, a ton of time on. They would have to research to find out where these people would be speaking. Where can I get this content? And this is going to be consistent content delivered to our listeners for free every single week on the Bridge the Gap Network.
Bridge the Gap has been from day one committed to providing great information that educates and influences the audience, and very, very thankful for our list of contributors, our growing list of contributors in season 2 that are committed to empowering the awesomeness that we call senior living.
Exactly. And, our listeners, you guys have spoken. We have listened to you. We see and hear that you're liking this content, but don't stop there. We want to hear from you even more. Connect with us at btgvoice.com. You can go to our Contributor Wednesday series tab. You can check out all of the bios on all of the Contributor Wednesdays. Every single week, we're going to be bringing this content to you. Make sure that you message us from our website or go to our social media pages, send us a DM. We want to know how this content is impacting you on your day-to-day.
And if you feel so inclined, we would love for you to leave us an excellent review on our iTunes page and any other places that you want to tell us some great feedback. Please do that.
That's a great point. We've been actually pretty blown away that we very rarely do a call to action to leave us reviews. We probably should do that a lot more. But we have been reviewed so many times to have a 5-star rating and so many comments from people. We're very, very grateful for that. And so to our listeners, if you haven't left a review, we would love for you to do that. You just scroll down on your iTunes app, hit the 5 stars if that's what you would rate us at, and leave a comment if you want to. But what that does is it helps on with the algorithm of iTunes to help prop up BTG Voice to get out to a greater audience. And by one example, we have a lot of college students that are actually using our content in parts of their curriculum in colleges around the United States. And they have found that because of the attention that has been garnered on our network.
And make sure you check out, while you're on btgvoice.com, check out our partners page. We don't get to talk enough about our partners that make all of this possible and have allowed us to have a platform to expand into a network now, not just the Josh and Lucas show, but Contributor Wednesdays and other shows being added to the network on a regular basis. So make sure you're checking in with those partners. They're the best in the industry for any of your industry needs. So connect.
That's right. Connect with us at btgvoice.com. And it's been an honor to be the voices in your heads as you guys have walked your dogs, as you've exercised, as you've commuted, as you've sat at work, or wherever you've listened to the podcast. Josh and I consider it a privilege and an honor to be able to bring you this content as we round out our season 3. 3 years ago, almost, we would have never dreamed that we'd be at this position. And you, the listeners, have helped us get there. And so we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, man, we have gone from Googling how to do a podcast to 3 seasons. It's it's been a fun time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you to everybody for listening to Contributor Wednesday with Josh and Lucas on the Bridge the Gap Network.
Thanks for listening to Contributor Wednesday series on Bridge the Gap Network. For more information about the contributors and for a full library of episodes, visit btgvoice.com.